Hello, I'm Dr. Anya Sharma. I'm a great admirer of Denis Martindale's work, and his recent poem, It's Because I'm Such a Poor Man, it's a piece I've really been wanting to explore with you. So in this explainer, we're going to deconstruct how this incredibly poignant poem captures the very personal, very real impact of the rising cost of living. Right from the very first lines, the poem opens with this stark, simple declaration. It immediately defines the narrator's entire world, not by what he has, but by its limitations. The rhythm is almost like a children's rhyme, which creates this really haunting contrast with the harsh adult reality he's describing. Freedom of movement, something so many of us take for granted, is the very first casualty of his poverty. So this really sets the stage for the poem's central theme, a life that is completely dictated by financial hardship. We're about to see how every single choice the narrator makes gets filtered through this lens of what he can't afford, and it just leads to this cascade of sacrifices. And look at the compounding effect here. Even the simplest joys, like a trip to see the countryside, are constrained. He's forced into a less desirable option, the bus, but then even that compromise is becoming unaffordable as prices hike. It feels like the horizons are just closing in on him. From here, the poem it systematically builds its case. It lists out all the small luxuries and everyday experiences that are now completely out of reach. And we're not talking about extravagance here, not at all. We're talking about the steady erosion of what most of us would consider a normal life. And I think the phrasing here is so important. It's not just I can't afford it. It's because I know what prices are. This points to a constant, weary calculation that he has to do before every single decision. Social activities, the very things that give us an escape and a connection to others, they're the first to go. And it doesn't stop there. The cutbacks just dig deeper and deeper. They go beyond leisure and into basic personal care and, essential rest. A haircut, a holiday, these aren't just expenses, are they? They're part of maintaining one's own dignity and well-being. And their absence really shows the true depth of this austerity. So when you see all these cutbacks laid out together, the full picture becomes just devastatingly clear. This isn't just about saving a bit of money. It's the systematic dismantling of a life, piece by painful piece. And this brings us to a central irony that the analysis points out, and it's brilliantly illustrated here. The narrator is forced into this lifestyle of saving, but it's a life that has been completely stripped of any actual style or joy or life. Okay, so now the poem makes a really important shift. It moves away from the external world of costs and cutbacks to the internal, emotional toll of this constant financial pressure. What does this actually do to a person's sense of self? Here we see this incredible self-reliance, but it's born from pure necessity. He'll cut his own hair. But this act of just trying to cope is immediately followed by this profound sense of injustice. He can do the task, sure, but he can't escape that feeling of utter despair. This man in the mirror isn't just a reflection, it's a confrontation with the self. The poem is implying this is not some new or temporary struggle. This is a long-term reality the narrator has been facing for years, and most likely, he's been facing it alone. And this right here is the turning point. While the struggle itself is old, a new, escalating pressure is making it absolutely impossible to ignore. Each new bill that comes through the door just brings that harsh reality into sharper and sharper focus. The problem isn't just that it's persistent, it's getting worse. So the poem then builds toward revealing the single biggest factor that's driving this recent escalation. It identifies the chief culprit behind this final, almost crushing wave of cutbacks. All of these sacrifices, everything we've seen so far, they all point to a single antagonist, a specific pressure point that just looms over the narrator's entire existence. And this is what it all comes down to. His final thrill is a cheap, instant meal. Every single sacrifice, every joy he's given up is funneled toward one single purpose, paying for electricity. A fundamental necessity of modern life has become his greatest, most overwhelming burden. So let's just widen our view for a moment and try to understand the poem's broader significance. Because this isn't just one man's story. It's a reflection of a very real, very contemporary anxiety that a lot of people are feeling. Now, the very specific date here is key.
The poet grounds this timeless theme of poverty in a precise, near-future moment. This isn't some abstract story from long ago. It's placed squarely in our world, which gives it this powerful and undeniable sense of urgency.
And this is perhaps the most important line in the entire analysis of the poem. It confirms that the narrator's story is not an isolated case. It's a mirror being held up to a widespread struggle, a voice for so many who are feeling the exact same pressures. And this is really the question the poem ultimately leaves us all with. When a simple utility bill dictates a person's entire lifestyle, what does that say about the life we are able to style? It really forces us to confront this question about economic well-being, about freedom, and about dignity in our modern world. Thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Anya Sharma.